Remember I made this video about the decline of Hot Wheels video games? What? No, you don't? Well, let's recap on what the video was about. It was about the history and the decline of the Hot Wheels games. From the mixed or average reviews from during the THQ era Hot Wheels games to the generally positive reviews during the Milestone era Hot Wheels games. But ever since 2024, the Hot Wheels Unleashed community was impacted by what Mattel just said. Here's the recap of what they said. According to Mattel, they said that Milestone is too good for them, meaning they're not confident enough to trust the Milestone team at all anymore. After Unleashed 2 Turbocharge, the license rights of the Hot Wheels license, which is under Milestone, has been revoked and was been given to a publisher. The publisher, GameMill Entertainment. The publisher who gave us the Nickelodeon games, Nickelodeon Kart Racers, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, alongside with other games like Raw Thrills' Cruise and Blast, and other shovelware games. Now, to my extent, I might know that in the ways of many, I really hope that GameMill would actually deliver and actually continue to carry the torch from the original THQ American publishing team. I believe that this might be the only way, which truly matters. But to our extent, when Mattel gave the Hot Wheels license to two publishers, this being Outright Games and GameMill Entertainment, both of them published two new games. For Outright Games, they published a Matchbox game. This marked the first time that we had a Matchbox game, a video game about Matchbox in a long time. And Hot Wheels Monster Trucks Stunt Mayhem, which is a new game focusing around Hot Wheels Monster Trucks. Remember when I said that it was a far cry from what made the Hot Wheels games great? Well, surely enough, y'all did. And to my by surprise, it seems that Mattel never learned anything from a bit. I detested Hot Wheels Monster Trucks Stunt Mayhem when I watched a video playthrough about it. Because for number one, it has nothing to do with the over-the-top racing action that Hot Wheels is known for, and instead focuses on freestyle. Secondly, didn't Mattel learn anything from Hot Wheels World's Best Driver at this point? Apparently not. They did not learn one freaking single bit of that shitty ass game at all. Seriously, history. So I'm just gonna say this: history has officially repeated itself. It seems that Mattel never learned from their stupid mistakes, as the one of the previous Hot Wheels games had shitty issues, and Hot Wheels Monster Trucks Stunt Mayhem is considered to be the next worst Hot Wheels game, next to Hot Wheels Beat That, Hot Wheels All Out, and World's Best Driver 2013. Not only was the freestyle minigame such very terrible, but it also completely underminedly ruined what made the Hot Wheels games are truly about: the racing aspects and the stunting. While the stunting is still there, that's not a good enough excuse for the fact that it's not focusing on racing. Hot Wheels Monster Trucks Stunt Mayhem is a poor attempt to revive Hot Wheels World's Best Driver, and it's just a direct sequel, but with monster trucks, and would be the last time we would get anything related to the World's Best Driver era. But then, this year, in 2025, GameMill was not happy with the mixed or average reviews and the negative feedback they were kind of receiving. Actually, they decided to they decided to try again with the Hot Wheels game genre by heavily trying to capitulate on what Hot Wheels is going for. Now everyone was suspecting that that Milestone would get the Hot Wheels license again. Well, guess what? It's not happening. First and foremost, like what Mattel said, Milestone is too good for them. Which that is still not a fair enough excuse. They're a good high quality publisher and a developer. So what made them feel like they're too good for them? There has to be a reason why. And if it's about them not being confident enough to trust them, I'm not buying this excuse. Bullshit. They're lying. And Mattel just trusted a good developer and a publisher, and then just ditched them like they're no use to them. Bullshit. I don't like that. I don't like where this is going. So for this year in 2025, instead of having an Unleashed 3 sequel, we instead got a new Hot Wheels game straight from GameMill Entertainment. And here's the trailer that I'm going to be dropping onto you right now.
I choose GameMill Sportster. Ready, set, go! Let's race! Out in front! Not too long! Oh yeah! Kicking into high gear, we got the drive here, revving up.
Developed by Bamtan Games, the studio who worked on the Nickelodeon Kart Racers trilogy and DreamWorks All-Star Kart Racing, oh boy. It's no surprise that Bamtan Games is throwing their hat into the ring with the Hot Wheels games. Well, I secretly predicted that Bamtan Games would develop a new Hot Wheels game if Mattel goes straight back to GameMill again. And here's my surprise. And there was my surprise. They did. They actually did. When everyone else saw this, everybody was completely mixed on this. We also have one of the users overreacting to the joy of the Hot Wheels Let's Race. Alongside that, made a serious negative feedback rant about the Acceleracers series, saying that it focuses on destruction and violence. I did ask, did it really focus on that? Somebody did say, not really. But in reality, they actually did. That's the edginess of the 2000s for you, mate. Remember, Hot Wheels was in its edginess era. You know, the golden era Hot Wheels in the 2000s, where Hot Wheels was in its very big edginess, making numerous fantasy vehicles while still maintaining real world vehicles, though. But unfortunately, after the 2000s, Hot Wheels entered the dark age with its games. More than that, it's starting to directly shift its focus from making fantasy vehicles to more making real world vehicle adaptations. And there's a problem. Acceleracers fans were hoping that Mattel would actually bring back the series, but unfortunately, I watched a video all about why Acceleracers isn't coming back. somebody made a video about accelerators not coming back. The problem mainly comes down to what happened behind the scenes. Hot Wheels Accelerators was proven to be a failure when it aired on the Cartoon Network back in the 2000s. And just like what happened with Megas XLR and Symbionic Titan, bet nobody don't remember those two, they've been considered tax write-offs. And Hot Wheels Accelerators is definitely one of those cases. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's a problem. If it doesn't succeed, they get taxed right off. This, and I believe it might bring substantial anger from the Hot Wheels community within the accelerators community. There is also another problem with the demographic of what Hot Wheels is meant to be targeting. First and foremost, Hot Wheels is only targeted towards kids, while the older collectors focuses on real-world vehicles rather than the fantasy vehicles that the Accelerators series falls under. I'm not gonna be around the bush. Gamer Alex already made a video alongside with Jake and MG about people looking down on fictional vehicles, especially fantasy cars, or mostly, usually calling them cheap and not appreciating them, and consider that licensed cars are better. No fucking god, they're not better than fantasy vehicles, because there are restrictions surrounding licensing real world vehicles. Car companies are very strict on the damage they don't like being shown on their vehicles. If you're playing Need for Speed or any other racing game that has licensed vehicles, then you may notice that there's no little damage, and the damages are cosmetic or just little dents or scratches. Well, that's because the development teams like Criterion and Codemasters need to follow the AdSense guidelines and need to follow what the car companies don't want on their vehicles. Extreme damage models. That's the problem with real world vehicles. You see, not all car companies don't want them in not in pristine condition with heavy deformation. It's not allowed. This could ruin the brand's image. This could ruin the car company's brand image, and nobody won't be able to buy them. That's the problem. That's the main reason why fantasy vehicles are available on other games like Burnout, Grip, Wipeout, Trailout, and Full Auto. Yes, for Trailout, they only feature debadged models of their real-life counterparts to call it a day. Well, honestly, debadging them is better than licensing real-world cars if you want to have complex damage models. So debadging models, honestly, this is honestly a good thing, because if they want to make a flat-out type game, then they got to debadge the models though. Off topic wise, let's get back to Hot Wheels Let's Race. It's ultimate speed. Now, and rather than taking place in one of the universes, the game will be under Unleash's Spaceline. Yes, Hot Wheels Let's Race Ultimate Speed is going to be falling under Hot Wheels Unleash's Baseline. Remember, just like how Need for Speed Undercover's PS2 and Wii ports used Black Box's engine and framework as the baseline when Exient developed the game, and Exient made Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010's Wii version on top of Need for Speed Nitro's baseline. So all in all, reusing Hot Wheels Unleash's baseline is honestly very good. However, there are some bells and whistles being seen. A little bit of oil slick power-ups, actually. So honestly, it's very nice to see that we have some little power-ups to be seen when I saw the trailer. But honestly, everyone else said that this isn't going to be worth it. One of the users, Zeo the Robot, who I just talked on Discord, said that Milestone does a lot much better than Bantan Games. And do I agree with them? Sorta. Well, While I do agree with his sentiment that Milestone is better and would have been a better developer compared to Bantam Games, but Bantam Games does have some potential. And seemingly I would respect Bantam Games' work, because it seemed that the developers didn't really differentiate themselves with their previous works, like Nickelodeon Kart Racers and DreamWorks All Star Kart Racing, because they're using because they still have because same studio, same studio, oh, different games by the same studio. And some people are saying we went from the high quality Hot Wheels Unleashed to the low ass shovelware crap again. Yeah, history repeated itself again. What a surprise. It did. Why is it decided to make a game based off of the popular Netflix series surrounding the Hot Wheels brand? Well, probably to attract more kids. If kids are interested in the wacky and the cool fantasy vehicles from Hot Wheels Let's Race, why not make a video game based off of the show instead? Why make it? Why would you? Why would they try? Why would they want? Why make? Wouldn't making a game based off of the series hurt? Well, honestly, it would kind of hurt the show, honestly. But honestly, some people did say this is supposed to be the ending of season 3, and soon the beginning of season 4. By extent, I am impressed that Bantam is actually into the helm of developing a Hot Wheels game, but it does kind of make me feel mixed in retrospect, because after all the bad or average reviews of previous Hot Wheels games, we are going right back into the full circle of what happened with the Hot Wheels game genre. Because remember we had different eras under the Hot Wheels games. We had the THQ era Hot Wheels games, the short-lived Activision era Hot Wheels game, which is Hot Wheels Beat That, at from 2007 to 2009. THQ era Hot Wheels restarted back in 2010, but was ultimately short-lived. But we did get the Firebrand Games era with Hot Wheels Track Attack and World's Best Driver. And by 2021, we entered in the Milestone era Hot Wheels games. However, just like Activision era Hot Wheels games, it was fairly short-lived. And now we're in the GameMill era Hot Wheels games now. So be fair and honest. I really hope the GameMill era Hot Wheels games kind of delivers some promise, though. But do not go off in the comments saying, "What happens if GameMill don't deliver on the promises?" Well, we don't know what will happen next, because honestly, we received a lot of edgy and very risky era Hot Wheels games like Bash Arena and Beat That. So it's no brainer what would happen next. I mean, the real reason why Hot Wheels Unleashed doesn't have any car-based combat was because Hot Wheels is strictly mainly targeted to kids, and the collectors alongside with the older fans of Hot Wheels games would rather focus on real world vehicles rather than fantasy cars that the Hot Wheels games falls under from the previous eras. So honestly, I kind of understand why, because Hot Wheels is mainly targeted to kids and not older audiences. And Hot Wheels Unleashed, even though it's aimed at the people who grew up with the Hot Wheels games, so everyone wanted Milestone to incorporate actual power ups. But there's one problem holding back Hot Wheels Unleashed having corporate power ups. Milestone doesn't do weaponry races before. They never done it before. That's the problem. But I did say and I really explained it on the Hot Wheels Unleashed community server, on Discord actually. Some people wanted everyone wanted the Hot Wheels Unleashed games to have car-based combat power-ups, like in Hot Wheels Beat That and Bash Arena or in Velocity X, actually. But unfortunately, Milestone failed to make that happen. First and foremost, they never made weaponry combat games before. Secondly, even if the Unleashed games do have car-based combat, the game wouldn't be built. The games would not be built for this from the very beginning. Meaning we have a little bit of some problems here and there. Secondly, it'll probably ante up the budget, I'm afraid. Yeah, Milestone has a very limited budget though. And also, this isn't the 2000s anymore. And Mattel is not allowing power-ups in order to destroy their own diecast cars. This isn't the edginess era anymore. This is the kid-friendly era, meaning, i.e., kid-friendly era means no power-ups, no edginess, and we're not we're not the target audience for this. So fairly and honestly, this is kind of unacceptable. Honestly, very unacceptable decision. I would like to give out some rants first and foremost. Hot Wheels is not always about kids, as it's aimed for all ages. Kids and adults can collect Hot Wheels cars, fantasy or licensed. And either way, it's an unfair excuse. Hot Wheels is not meant to be just for kids. It's aimed at all ages. Ergo, oh if you want to get a Hot Wheels car, even if you're older, it won't hurt to collect something. I mean, I'm an adult as well, and I still collect Hot Wheels cars. It's mainly the retro ones. And another thing. And another thing about Hot Wheels is that kids and adults can enjoy the type of Hot Wheels courses like play sets and cars because honestly when I see the Hot Wheels cars, I really wanted them, but unfortunately I had to consult my mother and my grandparents. But honestly, they do kind of gave me a little treat with like getting me new Hot Wheels cars here and there. Around when I was in my early to late teens, I stopped collecting Hot Wheels cars and started focusing on the video games. But going back to the Hot Wheels games now with Unleashed, it really gave me to feel confident that I really want to collect new Hot Wheels cars again. And but there's one question. What am I doing with them? Well, easy. Like my inner child back in my glory days, I play with them. Whether it's for my physical car-based combat, like in Burnout, or imaginative Beat That power-ups, like in the actual Hot Wheels Beat That game. And I know, grown-ass adult playing Hot Wheels cars and play sets. Let's grow up. First off, shut up. It's my inner child and I can do what I want. There's a lot wrong here. There's a lot going on wrong here. And I really hope for a Hot Wheels Let's Race Ultimate Speed would deliver on what car is going to join the game. Because honestly, all we got is veterans from Hot Wheels Unleashed, and we have a new car called the Super Twin Mill, which is present in the Hot Wheels Let's Race series. Honestly, why couldn't you add Super Twin Mill and Unleashed 2 Turbocharge? Milestone, the fuck is your problem? Right now. Seriously, right now? And also, everyone wanted Hot Wheels Unleashed 3 on the Hot Wheels Unleashed Discord community server. Well, honestly, I really made a statement point. Why make a third game when you could continue support on the second game? Nobody doesn't know that. It would be way too soon, too early to make another Hot Wheels Unleashed sequel where you could when instead you could have continued doing support on the second game. And doesn't nobody not notice this? No? Well, everyone did say that why make a second game when you could continue to support on the first game? Like, added the discontinued models to that game and added those type of jumps and abilities. And also, for the love of God, and for the love of goodness, yes, I did state it. Somebody stated on the Hot Wheels Unleashed community server that La Fasta and Quad Rod, an ATV and a secret car was meant to be added to Hot Wheels Unleashed 1, but instead joined Unleashed 2 instead. And I really bet that the development team were actually going to add the discontinued existing retro callbacks from the golden era to the first game, honestly. And in all honesty, in case, that would have been a perfect solution and would have been a perfect move, honestly. Because if you look at Trail Out, you see that the very small indie team, Good Boys LLC, has been updating their Trail Out game for at least a few years. As of recently, they're going to be adding a weaponry game mode. Oh, sound familiar to people who play Blur? That's right. And they're also going to be adding some elements from Split Second as well, with a pitch of Tokyo Extreme Racer for Extra Zane. Ooh, cannot wait for it. Yeah, there's a lot of things you don't know about the indie teams, with a Milestone no exception. While I do think that Milestone is a better developers to make games for what people would say about Milestone, but some people did say they tend to not learn from their previous mistakes. So it's, and some people said do not appreciate what Milestone delivers. Well, this entitles to personal opinion. Some people would prefer that Milestone would work on a new Hot Wheels game more than having GameMill to publish and hire a certain development team to make a new Hot Wheels game. While I do agree with this sentiment, but I do see that GameMill does have some potential. But there's one thing to consider. Either they start, hiring bigger teams along. Either they hire small teams and 2 small teams to work on the game together, and then gave them a good budget. Maybe the games might not get mixed or average scores then. But if they tend to not listen to my advice, well, I don't know what to tell you. And don't forget, if GameMill prices the new Hot Wheels game at $50, just like what happened with Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3 Science Speedway, and if it's not polished enough, and if it doesn't have an abundance of content, then that means some people are not going to be interested, and whatever GameMill justifies will not match that price. GameMill, don't fuck this up. Besides, I want you to succeed, but you must stop making the same mistakes year after year. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and have a nice day. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, please consider subscribing and turn on post notifications, which is the bell right next to the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to share this video and comment. Some requests may be accepted.